Good evening, Chair, committee members. This is Gary Krumian from the IT department to present our request for a grant application from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. We would like to ask the Finance and Governance Committee to recommend to the City Council for it to adopt a resolution authorizing the submittal of the grant application to FEMA for $500,000 subject to use of city matching funds through the Infrastructure and Jobs Act for the purpose of investing in cybersecurity technology for systems used throughout the city, and for the city manager or the chief information officer to execute all grant documents, applications, agreements, amendments, and requests for payment necessary to secure grant funds and implement the approved grant project for an amount not to exceed $500,000 in State of California IIJA cybersecurity grant funds, and for the chief financial officer to submit financial reports and grant claims and approve special budget appropriations for use of grant funds, and for the chief information officer to submit non-financial reports. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act is a federal legislation that provides close to $550 billion in new spending to states and local governments, and this includes $1 billion for cybersecurity spending. The state of California is expected to receive $40 million in the cybersecurity appropriations, and these funds are to be used for implementing cybersecurity plans throughout the state and the municipalities. These funds are available for a period of 4 years and come with a cost-sharing provision that ranges from 10% in year 1 to 40% in year 4. The timing of application is expected sometime during the September-October 2022 period. The state will submit a comprehensive plan to FEMA in accordance with the various guidelines and the direction that it receives from the federal government, many of which are still ambiguous. Once the state receives the funds, it must disperse them to the municipalities within 45 days. So this means that we should be ready and agile to make sure that we have the authorization in place to be able to put in the application to the state as quickly as it is possible. Based on the $500,000 that we are pursuing and the 10% match requirement in year 1, $50,000 will be required from the IT department's fiscal year 22-23 operating budget. This match amount is sufficiently available in the department's budget and will not require any further appropriation. If necessary for future years, the higher match requirement for the amount will be requested to be included in the department's budgets at that time. And at this time, there will be no further appropriations required. So once again, we would ask the Finance and Governance Committee to recommend that City Council adopt a resolution to authorize the submittal of this grant application to the Federal Emergency Management Agency for a $500,000 grant funding subject to use of city matching funds through the Infrastructure and Jobs Act for the purpose of investing in cybersecurity technology, and for the city manager or chief information officer to execute all grant documents, applications, agreements, amendments, and requests for payment necessary to secure grant funds and implement the approved grant project for an approved not to exceed $500,000 in State of California cybersecurity grant funds, for the chief financial officer to submit financial reports and grant claims and approve special budget appropriations for use of these grant funds, and for the chief information officer to submit all necessary non-financial reports. Thank you for your time, and I'm here with any questions.